There's a combination that most men over 60 have never heard of, and it may be exactly what's been missing from their nights and mornings. I'm not talking about medication. I'm not talking about expensive imported supplements. I'm not talking about anything that requires a prescription or costs a fortune. I'm talking about something you almost certainly already have in your kitchen right now. Garlic, but mixed with one specific second ingredient taken at one specific time of day, in a way almost no one knows about. And once you understand why this combination works and why the timing matters just as much as the ingredients themselves, you'll also understand why everything you've tried before may not have worked the way you expected. Because there's a biological window in your body, a window that opens at night while you sleep and largely determines how you'll wake up in the morning. Firmness, vitality, and responsiveness. All of it is connected to what happens during that window. The question that will guide everything I'm about to show you is this: are you taking advantage of that window, or are you letting it go to waste every single night? I'll give you the answer, but first I need you to understand the mechanism. Because if the solution doesn't make sense to you, you won't stay consistent. And without consistency, nothing works. I'm Dr. Natália Castro. If you want to keep receiving important health content for men over 60, subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. Now stay with me because what I'm about to explain will completely change the way you see your own body at night. Most men who come to me with the same complaint, reduced firmness, mornings without any response, the feeling that their body just isn't cooperating anymore, believe the problem is hormonal. They think their testosterone has dropped, that their body has simply aged, and that it's time to accept it. I understand why they believe that. It's what most people say. But science tells a very different story. And when you understand that story, resignation gives way to something far more useful: strategy. Because if a problem has a cause, it has a solution. And the cause, in the vast majority of cases, after age 60, is not hormonal. It's circulatory, it's about blood flow, it's about what is or isn't happening inside your blood vessels. But before I explain what this combination actually does in your body, I need you to understand one mistake that almost no one mentions, a small error that completely cancels out any real benefit from garlic. I'll show you exactly what it is in a moment. First, you need to understand what's happening inside you. After age 60, the male vascular system undergoes 4 silent changes. They aren't dramatic, they don't appear suddenly, and they don't hurt. But they're happening right now while you watch this video, and they are directly affecting the quality of your mornings. The first change is the drop in nitric oxide production. This is the most important and the least discussed. Nitric oxide acts as a chemical signal to your arteries. When it's present in sufficient quantities, your arteries get the command to relax, expand, and open the flow. It's literally what allows blood to reach where it needs to go, with the right pressure at the right time. Think of it like a garden hose connected to a faucet. When the faucet is open and the hose is flexible, water flows with force. Now imagine the hose starts to harden from the inside, and the faucet begins to lose pressure. The water still reaches the end, but the force is much weaker. That's exactly what happens when nitric oxide drops. Blood still circulates, but the intense response your body needs loses power. This decline doesn't announce itself. It installs itself gradually and silently. You only notice it when the difference has already become obvious. The second change is the progressive thickening of the blood. With age, a low-grade chronic inflammation, the kind that doesn't hurt and doesn't show up on routine exams, begins to change blood flow dynamics. The blood becomes slightly thicker, not dangerously so, but enough to reduce efficiency. It's like a river that used to flow clean and fast, now moving with more resistance. It's not blocked, but it has lost speed. And when flow loses speed, physical response loses intensity. The third change is arterial stiffness. Arteries need flexibility to work properly. When the heart pumps blood forcefully, the arteries must expand to accommodate the volume. With aging, that flexibility decreases. The walls no longer open as easily. It's like an old hose that hardens over time. Even though water is still passing through, the expansion no longer happens the same way. The fourth change is the slowest and most silent. Slower repair of the endothelium. The endothelium is the inner lining of your blood vessels. It produces nitric oxide, regulates local inflammation, and keeps the vessel walls functioning. In youth, any small damage was repaired quickly. After 60, that repair process slows down. Oxidative stress builds up and chronic inflammation interferes. The result is a system that gradually loses efficiency without any alarm or obvious symptom. Now put it all together. Less nitric oxide, thicker blood, less elastic arteries, and slower repair. What this produces isn't a total absence of response. It produces something far more frustrating, a weaker response, shorter duration, and less firmness. And when that happens once, you notice it. When you notice it, doubt appears. When doubt appears, anxiety appears. And when anxiety appears, your body releases adrenaline, which constricts the arteries. What was already compromised becomes even worse. The cycle closes, and each time it closes, it becomes harder to break out of. This is not weakness, this is physiology. It's a mechanism with a cause, with logic, and most importantly, with a solution. But before we continue, I want to ask you a question. Do you know what happens in your vascular system while you sleep? Most men have never thought about it. And it's exactly that gap that causes the nighttime window to be wasted every single night. In a moment, I'll explain what that window is and why it's so decisive. But first, you need to understand the mistake, because without understanding the mistake, the solution won't make sense. Comment below where you're watching from. I follow men from every corner of Brazil going through exactly this. And I want to know where the audience for this content is coming from. I had a patient I'll call Antonio, 62 years old, retired, a man who always took care of himself, didn't smoke, walked every morning, and avoided fried foods. He came to me with the look of someone who had already tried everything and still hadn't found what really works. He told me, "Doctor, I read that garlic is good for circulation. I started putting garlic in everything every day. It's been months and I feel absolutely no difference." When he told me how he was consuming the garlic, I immediately understood the problem. Antonio was chopping the garlic, throwing it straight into a hot frying pan with olive oil and seasoning everything. He was doing exactly what most people do. And that's precisely where the first mistake happens. Garlic contains a compound called allicin. By itself, allicin doesn't do much. It stays stored inside the garlic clove in an inactive state, like a battery that hasn't been connected yet. But when you cut, crush, or mince the garlic, an enzyme called allinase comes into contact with the allicin. In a matter of seconds, a chemical reaction begins that produces a new compound, allicin. Allicin is what gives garlic its strong smell and burning sensation, and it's what carries the biological effects related to circulation. The problem is simple and devastating. Heat destroys the allinase before it can finish its job. If you cook the garlic immediately after cutting it, you interrupt the reaction before enough allicin can be produced. You eat garlic, but you never activate the compound that actually matters. It's like striking a match underwater. The motion is there, but the fire never starts. There's also a second, equally destructive mistake. swallowing the whole garlic clove without cutting or crushing it. In that case, allinase and allicin never meet. The reaction never happens. Allicin is never formed. You ingest the garlic, but you don't absorb the benefit. It's like having a key and a lock in separate drawers and never putting them together. The system exists, but it was never activated. Antonio had been doing this for months, consuming garlic every day without ever activating the compound that would have made the difference, and believing that garlic simply didn't work for him. Why does allicin matter so much when we talk about circulation? It supports vasodilation, helping arteries relax and expand naturally, without artificial forcing. It acts on low-grade chronic inflammation, the kind that damages the endothelium, reduces nitric oxide production, and makes blood thicker. Properly prepared garlic works exactly there as a gentle and continuous modulator. It improves blood fluidity, slightly reducing viscosity. Remember the slow river? Garlic doesn't increase the current's force, it reduces the friction. And most importantly, it has an indirect influence on the nitric oxide pathway. By reducing oxidative stress and endothelial inflammation, allicin supports the body's ability to produce and maintain nitric oxide. Better nitric oxide, better vascular expansion, better physical response, not overnight, but consistently and genuinely. Most videos about garlic stop right here. And this is exactly where what I have to show you begins. Because properly prepared garlic is powerful. But when you mix it with one specific second ingredient and consume that combination at the right moment, right before bed, the effect on the vascular system is completely different. Before I reveal what that ingredient is, I need you to understand why nighttime is the most important moment for the male vascular system after age 60. Because once you understand this, you'll see that everything you do during the day is missing the best window to act. During sleep, the body enters a state of deep repair. Blood pressure drops naturally. The parasympathetic nervous system takes over. Arteries have the chance to relax in a way they simply cannot during the day, when stress and constant demand keep the body on alert. It is during sleep that the endothelium does most of its repair work. It is during sleep that the body produces vascular recovery hormones. It is during sleep that the circulatory system has the chance to reorganize, clean up what has accumulated, and prepare what will be needed in the morning. Think of it this way. If your body has a maintenance workshop, that workshop opens at night. And if you show up at that workshop without the right materials, the work is done incompletely. That's exactly what happens when you don't give your vascular system the right support before bed. The window opens, but there's nothing for it to work with. And when morning comes, the result shows it. But when you arrive at that window with the right combination, in the right form, it's like handing the workshop exactly the tool it needed. And what the workshop produces during the night, you feel in the morning. I need to make an important warning here because it would be irresponsible not to. Many men, when they discover there's a natural approach to this problem, make another serious mistake. They look for isolated solutions without consistency, expecting immediate results. When nothing appears in a week, they quit and conclude that nothing natural works. Then they go back to pharmaceutical solutions that force the system instead of repairing it. Common medications for this type of complaint temporarily block an enzyme called PDE5, making the nitric oxide that already exists in the body last longer. The effect in many cases is clear, faster, firmer response. But these medications do not repair the endothelium, do not increase natural nitric oxide production, do not reduce chronic inflammation, and do not improve arterial elasticity. They take a system that's working with reduced efficiency and force more pressure inside it. It's like taking old rigid pipes and increasing the water pressure. The water flows stronger for a moment, but the pipes remain exactly the same. And the extra pressure on an already aging system causes additional wear on tissues that needed support, not more pressure. There's also the psychological factor, which is just as real as the physical one. When performance starts depending on something external, internal confidence decreases. When confidence decreases, anxiety increases. When anxiety increases, arteries constrict. The cycle closes with a new variable, dependence. I'm not saying these medications have no place in certain contexts under medical supervision. I'm saying that using them as the main solution for a progressive circulatory problem is treating the symptom, not the cause. And while the cause continues to advance, the symptoms return. Stronger, more frequent, and more resistant. What the system needs is not more pressure. It needs cleaner, more natural, more sustainable flow. There's a medical guide on avoiding mistakes that damage the prostate after 60, available in the pinned comment below the video. We created this material because the information that truly makes a difference in the daily life of a man over 60 rarely comes in a clear and accessible way. If you want to understand which habits are harming your circulation without you realizing it, and which strategies really work at this stage of life, the link is pinned in the comments. It's well worth reading. Now, back to the combination. You already understand why allicin is essential, why heat destroys it, and why swallowing the whole clove activates nothing. Now, you need to understand the second ingredient and why it potentiates everything garlic does. The second ingredient is pure honey, preferably dark honey with a high content of phenolic compounds. Dark honey contains polyphenols with significant antioxidant action on the vascular endothelium. Oxidative stress is one of the main factors that damage the endothelium after age 60. The polyphenols in honey act directly on that stress, reducing oxidative pressure on endothelial cells. Less oxidative damage, greater capacity to produce nitric oxide. More nitric oxide, better arterial expansion. The chain is direct. In addition, honey has anti-inflammatory properties that complement those of allicin in a synergistic way. While allicin acts on chronic inflammation through one pathway, honey's compounds act through slightly different pathways, creating broader coverage over the inflammatory processes that affect the vessels. It's like having two workers cleaning the same area with different tools. The result is far more complete than if only one were working. And why consume this combination specifically before bed? Because during sleep, the vascular maintenance workshop is open. The body is in repair mode. The arteries are in their most relaxed state of the 24-hour cycle. When you supply the right compounds at that exact moment, they reach the vascular system when it is most receptive. It's taking advantage of the biological window instead of wasting it. Now I'm going to tell you exactly how to prepare this combination correctly, because the preparation matters as much as the ingredients. Take one medium-sized garlic clove. Crush it with the side of a knife or mash it with the back of a spoon until the cells are broken. After crushing, wait at least 10 minutes. This resting time allows the reaction between allinase and allicin to complete, forming the highest possible concentration of allicin. This detail, the resting time, is what separates those who actually benefit from the compound from those who just eat garlic with no real effect. After the 10 minutes, mix it with 1 teaspoon of pure dark honey. Do not heat it, do not mix it with hot water. The mixture should be prepared and consumed at room temperature. Take it between 30 minutes and 1 hour before bed. This is not an instant result recipe. But with regular use, night after night over the course of weeks, you are giving your vascular system exactly the support it needs during the repair window. when the body is most ready to use it. Men who report consistent improvement after 60 usually do more than one thing at the same time. They add the nightly combination regularly, reduce refined sugar, which directly damages vessel walls, improve sleep quality, start walking regularly, and reduce chronic stress. It's not a 7-day path. It's a physiological process that respects the body's timing and builds real results, not artificial ones that disappear when the pill is stopped. The kind of result possible when this process is done with consistency is not going back to being 20 years old. It's waking up with more vitality. It's noticing that what was weakening starts responding with more intensity. It's feeling that your body is cooperating instead of resisting. It's regaining the confidence that comes from within, not from a package. This is possible. Not for everyone in the same way, not at the same pace, but physiology allows it. And when physiology allows it, the choice is yours. Today you learned that the drop in firmness after 60 is not, in most cases, a hormonal problem. It's vascular. It's about nitric oxide, arterial elasticity, blood thickening, and endothelial repair. You learned that garlic's allicin is only formed when the clove is crushed, left to rest for at least 10 minutes, and consumed without heat. You learned that dark honey, rich in polyphenols, potentiates the effect of allicin by protecting the endothelium from oxidative stress. And you learn that the nighttime window is not arbitrary, it is the biological window of vascular repair, the moment when the body is most receptive to support. This process doesn't end here. Chronic inflammation doesn't stop acting. Oxidative stress doesn't disappear on its own. What you learned today is a solid foundation, but it's the beginning of a conversation, not the end. And if this kind of content makes sense to you, if you want to keep receiving clear, science-based information without judgment or fluff about what happens in the male body after 60, subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about what almost no one explains clearly. And the next time you need a real answer about your body, I want it to already be here waiting for you.